Former USDA employee Shirley Sherrod believes that the Obama White House could help advance unity if they do more to promote conversations about race relations. Congresswoman Barbara Lee is chair of the Congressional Black Caucus and now joins us. Great to see you, Congresswoman Lee. We talked earlier with Ron Walters, who feels that the White House is not reaching out enough on issues of race and not getting enough help from the community to ward off these problems before they take place, that they jump the gun, as they've acknowledged themselves. This is what the president had to say on ABC about all of this.
One of the things I shared with Ms. Sherrod was the fact that the stories that she was telling about her own biases and overcoming them, those are actually good lessons for all of us to learn, because we all have biases. We should acknowledge the enormous progress that we've made since the time that Shirley Sherrod was a child in the Jim Crow South. That's real progress.
Is that the way to handle it, Congresswoman Lee?
Thank you very much. I think what's very important is that we use this moment to create a national dialogue about race, because I can tell you, after talking with many of my Republican colleagues, they don't want to see this type of resentment and race baiting become the face of their party. So this is the moment that we all need to come together and talk about race, and it has been swept under the rug for so many years. I think what we also have to do is recognize we can't just talk about race. Yes, we have to learn more about each other. We've come a long way in that sense, but we have to talk about the right things and not let the resentment and this race baiting detract us from what the real issues are. And those real issues are, for example, structural inequality, institutional racism. When you look at the fact that Latino and African American young people do not have equal opportunities and a level playing field, those are the issues we have to talk about. We still haven't crossed over into creating equal opportunities for all.
What about the sense out there that the Obama White House has been reluctant to engage in that conversation? Perhaps they don't want it to become the sort of central fact of his historic presidency, but they seem to be skittish in having jumped the gun on Shirley Sherrod and not checked things out and fired her so precipitously. And they also don't seem to want to have this wider conversation. Is that a fair critique?
Well, let me say, I think you would have to talk to the president's advisors and the president with regard to their strategies on how they're addressing the whole issue of race. But I can tell you, the Congressional Black Caucus for many, many years have been conducting dialogues and conversations about race in an effort to develop an agenda that really does create the American dream for all. I think Mrs. Sherrod and the way her situation was handled was outrageous. The Congressional Black Caucus met with the Secretary to talk about this further. But we also, let me tell you, talked about the fact that no one, the media, members of Congress, elected officials, the administration, should jump to any conclusions without all of the facts, because you can smear someone, you can destroy their lives. Fortunately, in this instance, immediately we were able to look at the full tape. Ms. Sherrod's life, and many know her, has been one of service. She's really made many efforts to ensure that the USDA is rid of the type of discrimination and systemic biases that it's had historically. When you look at the fact that the black farmers, for instance, still have not had their lawsuits settled. There have been so many instances when black farmers, when historically black colleges and universities, when our land grant colleges have not received the type of equity that they deserve. She was in there trying to make sure that that could happen. And so I think we should learn many, many lessons from what has taken place. But basically, I think we need to know we cannot believe everything based on just a snippet, a soundbite, and need to demand that we have the full story, all of the facts, and objectivity with the media.
It's a big lesson for the White House and for the media. Journalism 101. Thank you very much. The Black Caucus Chairwoman, Barbara Lee. And on a very sad note, we in the world of journalism are mourning a friend, one of our own, one of the last of the Murrow boys.